best type of insulation?
What is the best type of insulation? Well, I always come back to, well, it depends on your project. I guess what we need to understand is a little bit of building science, because the type of insulation will depend on your type of wall assembly. So, for example, our wall assembly is, if we don't include the masonry, we're about 19 inches. And that's all insulation. So if I were to just throw any insulation in there and not really think about how all of that is going to play into effect with, like, if moisture or vapor gets in there, and how the heat may drive vapor into it and those types of things, really thinking about drying and the permeability of the wall system, I could potentially run into major issues. So what we decided to do in our wall assembly is use Roxol, which is rock wool. And why we did that is because if Roxol gets wet, because it's rock wool, it can dry, and its R value won't be affected. So it's still going to be just as effective as it was when we put it in. The other thing is that mold won't grow on it. The other thing I like about it is, because mold won't grow on it either, is that there's less fire retardants. It's natural because it's rock. It's naturally fire resistant. Actually, I just found out there's no fire retardants in it. That's what I was told when I saw them at the show. So there's no fire retardant. So all of those things are absolutely great for the product, for what we were doing, because if anything, we just have to assume that vapor or water of some sort is going to get into a wall assembly somehow. And if you can plan to not, just say that you're not going to let it in, but water will find its way in somehow, some way. If a mouse chews a hole through something, that's going to be air leakage, and then you're going to have all the loss, all the condensation that's produced, that's going to be water in your wall. There's no way we can avoid these types of things. So you just have to assume that water will get in somehow, and what are you going to do to make sure that it doesn't actually ruin your wall? Make sure that it has drying potential. So that worked for us in our case. If we're doing retrofits where we're, for example, going to an old bungalow, they have masonry, one project that we did, they wanted to up the R value and they wanted to redo the siding on the outside of the house. So what we were able to do in this case, because they had just had a typical 2x4 wall framed, is we were able to take all the masonry off the house, add 4 inches of XPS, so extruded polystyrene, which is the pink or the blue stuff you'll see at like Home Depot or Rona or Lowe's, wherever you are. Then we taped all the joints, and then we put a rain screen, which is really like a 1x3, 1x4, 2x3, 2x4, depending on what your siding calls for. We used that as a strapping, and then we installed our wood siding over top of that. And because we had that 4-inch lip on the foundation from the masonry, by adding all that insulation and adding the rain screen and the siding, it actually looked like it was designed, that house was designed for that. And we basically, we improved the air tightness of their home and drastically improved the R value of their wall system. So overall, we made their home healthier, more comfortable, and more energy efficient with that project. So in that case, that made the most sense, because XPS can be used as an air barrier as well. And if you tape all the joints with a good tape, we've used Sika products, but there's all sorts of other products out there now. You can use that to make sure your home is nice and airtight, and then it doubles as your weather barrier. So that in that case, you have your air barrier, your weather barrier taken care of in one, and then they would have to take care of vapor barrier stuff on the inside of the home, which would have already been there. So once again, I guess different types, just a quick recap, the different types of insulation. There's also spray foam, which I didn't touch on, so I'll touch on that quick. Is we like to use spray foam in cases where, in renovations usually, where there's tight spots, headers and basements, things where you can't really get a good air barrier in, we'll use spray foam, like a closed cell spray foam. So there's open cell spray foam, which will give you less R value per inch. There's closed cell spray foam, which will give you more R value per inch, plus give you a vapor barrier beyond 2 inches, I believe is what it is. I won't get into all the different things that you should look for in spray foam, but make sure you're getting a spray foam that's not going to continuously off gas. So you have your spray foam, fiberglass, Roxol, XPS, EPS. We can lay out all these different insulations for you, but really work with your builder and figure out what you want to do for your project.